Visioning Committee, and I'm all for it. However, there's an individual on the committee who I've had concerns with supporting in the past, appointing to committees and official duties. I've had conversations with this individual, and he's more than aware of my outlook on this, my concerns. I'm giving him support on past actions. So my vote on this resolution no way reflects on any other individual on the committee in the resolution, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to vote no.
Board Member Higley?
I feel the same way Vinny does. I don't think Richie should be on this committee. No, I don't think he should be here at all. I vote no.
Board Member Boyd?
Yes.
Board Member Storms?
Yes.
Supervisor Stanley?
Yes.
Resolution number 76- for a replacement ambulance vehicle following the town board meeting on March 2nd, 2015. P.O. Box 67, Shandaken, New York, 12480, no later than 3 p.m. on Monday, May 4th, 2015, with bids to be opened at the town board meeting on the same day at 7 p.m. Therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Shandaken Town Board approve the bid from...
I'm going to correct, I'm sorry, I'm opening it up for discussion. It should be accept the bid. You're not approving the bid, you need to...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep,
Okay.
no, that's language that's on this.
Accept.
We have one. And it's from Northeastern Rescue Vehicle Incorporated from Syracuse, New York.
Rescue what?
No,
Just me.
it's
Dinosaur barbecue is awesome.
Hurricane like the wing stuff.
I should say ambulance department, not
What?
department.
Shandaken ambulance.
Yeah, on the top.
Ambulance bid.
Okay. Town of Shandaken ambulance department. Advertise the bids.
You can approve it as amended.
Just give it to
So
him.
you have a number, is there a number there? Or
Oh,
you wanna hand it to me?
What do you need? The number?
They should have a cover sheet saying how much the vehicle.
$114,830.
You take a couple lights off that thing, I don't know, it doesn't need to be so flashy, does it? Yeah, I don't need an excuse for everybody. So,
Any reason why we only got one bid on something like this? We used to have a few, right?
I think last time we only had two.
I received like 4 or 5 phone calls and from different manufacturers, different dealers, but none of them submitted anything.
Okay.
So it,
Gotta get at least 2 bids.
I'll second, as amended, changing highway to ambulance and saying that we accept for review the bid from New England Rescue Vehicle Syracuse, New York.
It was Northeast.
Northeast.
Northeastern. What is it?
Board Member Bernstein?
I just got some concerns on just having one bid. I think we ought to have more than one bid.
Well, it's a big process, it's been out there for a month. It's the same as if we go to specs or bids on stream work. I mean, Rich can review this and see if there's something we can nudge out of this.
I mean, I don't know if it's high ball or low ball or anything. Usually you have at least two, you got a half an idea, but I don't have enough knowledge on ambulances to say, yeah, this is in the ballpark or it isn't, you know.
it's in the ballpark.
Well, all this resolution is stating is that we recognize them as a legitimate bidder, they met all the procedures, and through procurement policy and advertisement that we set out, Rich is going to review to see if it meets the specs. Again, it's up to the board if we wish to discuss going out to bid again, that it's gonna elongate the time to get it.
What did we pay for the last ambulance before?
125.
Yeah.
So that seems like it's in the ballpark, if it's less than what we bought. And how many years ago did we buy that?
6.
But you're saying this isn't quite on par with that.
No, it's not 4-wheel drive, and it's not diesel. So, and I can explain to you a little bit more of the process. What we'll do is we'll sit down as a committee and we'll put together, specifications of what we want the vehicle to be, or how we want it to be set up. What we kept in mind with this vehicle, just as with any of our vehicles, but particularly with this vehicle because we had such a large purchase last time, was overall cost, functionality. It's going to be a workhorse vehicle, like all of our vehicles, this one in particular. And the fact that it's meeting the specification of the last ambulance, where we're closely resembling the layout of the last ambulance that we purchased. So, what that does is that cuts down familiarization, training costs. People, ambulance technicians are creatures of habit. They know the non-rebreathing oxygen mask is in the upper right-hand cabinet. If both ambulances are spec'd out similarly, then it makes for making that decision during somebody's worst day of their lives, that much easier. Or finding that piece of equipment. So
Rich,
that's, yes.
Is it prudent not to have four-wheel drive in these weather conditions that we have here?
A four-wheel drive ambulance won't fit in the bag that the St. John's goes into. Otherwise, we would get two.
But we also have one four-wheel drive.
But we also have
the other one.
And
Moves pretty
it's a
well.
big cost. It's a huge cost.
I know, but it's important.
Well, we have the one, so.
One is our first four-wheel drive too. We had no
Right,
four-wheel
we had no
drive
four-wheel
prior.
drive before that.
For years.
So,
And you were able to get up in bad snow conditions and all that kind of
oh, with
stuff?
this one, absolutely.
With non-four-wheel drive?
Oh, yeah, sometimes.
You can start a tire, huh?
We got some pretty good
Just
times.
like we had before.
Years without four-wheel drive.
Ready for roll call?
You got one.
We can discuss it for the next
Okay,
one.
board member
Yeah, it's
Bernstein?
fine.
With my concerns, yes.
Yes. Board member Higley?
Yes.
Board member Moore?
Yes.
Board member Storms?
Yes.
Supervisor Daniels?
Yes. Special meeting dates, resolution 7715, special meeting dates for Phoenician Water District repairs, whereas problems with Phoenician Water District has made it a priority to initiate emergency repairs and seek grants, bids for repairs, etc. And whereas the procedures for grants, bidding, and repairs is timely endeavor, and we need to expedite the process, be it resolved that the Town of Shandaken Town Board set the following dates and times, if needed, for the month of May 2015 pertaining to the Phoenician Water District repairs: Wednesday, May 13th, Tuesday, May 19th, and Thursday, May 21st, all at 1 p.m. 2015, and move its adoption.
Second
Board member Bernstein?
Just to throw something in, could we be notified a day or two in advance when these are canceled? The last three were canceled, I just showed up.
Would you like a telephone call?
Sure. That'd be great.
I don't mind you stopping by and visiting them.
No, I mean,
I stop by 3 times a week.
okay.
Well, there's two of them. What do you want?
Board member Bernstein?
Yes?
Board member Higley?
Yes.
Board member Moore?
Yes.
Board member Storms?
Yes.
Supervisor Daniels?
Yes.
Resolution 78-15, ambulance technician. Whereas under section 20 of town law, the town board shall designate all appointed officers and employees of the town. Therefore, be it resolved that the following personnel be appointed to the Town of Shandaken Town Ambulance at rates not to exceed the following for the fiscal year of 2015. Part-time EMT, $70.68 per hour, 12-hour shift, and $31.77 per trip for Vincent Peasy, and move its adoption.
Second.
Who seconded?
I did.
Board member Bernstein?
Yes?
Board member Higley?
Yes.
Board member Moore?
Yes.
Board member Storms?
Yes.
Supervisor Daniels?
Yes. That was fun.
Resolution 79-15, resolution approving public assembly permit for the Phoenicia International Festival of the Voice. Whereas the Town of Shandaken Town Board, under section 59 of the Town of Shandaken Code, has the sole authority to approve applications for the purpose of a public assembly in excess of 500 persons, and whereas the town board recognizes the benefits of public events to the economy of the town, and also recognizes the necessity to provide adequate protections and a safe environment for its residents and participants alike. And whereas the town is in receipt of documentation illustrating compliance under the law providing the necessary insurance, permits, security, parking, lighting, sanitation, emergency, and evacuation requirements, and whereas the town board is satisfied with the application from the Phoenicia International Festival of the Voice for their event to be held in Phoenicia, New York on July 29th through August 2nd, 2015. I move its adoption.
I'll second.
Board Member Bernstein?
Yes?
Board Member Higgins?
Yes.
Board Member Malone?
Yes.
Board Member Storm?
Yes.
Supervisor Tanner?
Yes. That we will move on to open public comment. See if I can- Yes, Mr. Briscoe.
Now, what about you mentioned FEMA, what about the work on the SOPAS, the flood mitigation? When are we having another meeting with the engineers?
So, yeah, I can tell you, Eric, myself, and Don Brewer, as the certified floodplain managers in town, went to the annual conference in Syracuse last week. There's a boatload of information that came out of that conference. As far as the LFA is concerned, there's a huge amount of data that needs to be collected for them to do their next presentation. That data included assessment data, including how many of the buildings within the floodplain in Phoenicia, in the study area, have a basement. What's their base elevations of their first floor? Where's their equipment located? This is all stuff they need to know to assess what the damages would be to the structures in Phoenicia in order to do what they call a BCA, or a benefit cost analysis of the situation. Again, knowing that whatever we come up with is probably going to be millions, if not more, of dollars to do. So you need to show the benefits for the residents and show the damages that would occur if we didn't do any activity versus what this is going to spare FEMA and the feds their money if we can find a way to resolve it and make us more resilient. Now, one of the things that highlighted came out of the conference this year was floodproofing buildings and filling in basements to grade. There was at least 3 examples, one of which was great. The first one was a veteran up somewhere in Otsego County or something, where the gentleman lived in an old Victorian home. He was paying somewhere around $2,500 per year in flood insurance rates. He got slammed when they changed the program, and he started getting, his rates went up exponentially, and he couldn't find out why. So he got somebody to come in and take a look at it, and by simply filling in, he had his basement to grade, but there were certain things on what's called an elevation certificate that are filed with FEMA for FEMA to know how to set your rate for your flood insurance. Now, some of the information was incorrect. Numbers were transposed on elevations, and they also had him as a part-time resident, which would put you at the full-blown rate.
Yeah.
So this gentleman went in, noticing it was to grade, put in these flood vents, these appropriate flood vents, basically just a door that opens when the flood comes in and allows the flood water to pass. By doing that, I think he said it cost, Eric, you can back me up, I think it cost like $2,500 to do the work, to put the flood vents in and do the elevation certificate, renew it. And that was submitted to FEMA. The final shot of that presentation was the gentleman holding his refund check from FEMA, because they refund you the amount for that calendar year if you change things in order to better yourself. And also showing what his new rate, and his new rate was about $285 a year. So it dropped it dramatically just by putting a couple of simple vents in, a couple $100, and it saved him tens of thousands of dollars over probably his generation for the rest of his life.
Well, we have
situations in town where, like on my street there, we didn't flood, but they raised, they put me in another category.
Well, again, because under the preliminary maps, know that under the previous maps or the adopted maps, Stony Cove was not mapped in a detail, what they call a detailed study. If you look at the flood maps upstairs, you'll just see a gray line where the Stony Cove is, and it pretty much stays in its banks. Now they're saying, 100-year flood, the Stony Clove, regardless of what the SOPA, the Stony Clove itself could inundate back up to Church Street and Newton Avenue. So knowing that, you kind of still, again, you can argue all you want about where the water ran. FEMA goes by the map. They don't want to hear where the water went. They go by the map. And yeah, and Irene on Chichester was not the 100-year storm, so it wasn't near the elevation, so it could go further.
Yeah, well,
I think on the Stony Clove, it was actually listed as a 50-year storm. On the Esopus, it was near, it's fluctuating now, we're getting conflicting reports of 100 to 80 years from this.
Now, Route 28 here, I sold a house up here on, by Sid Ford, just below that, with a basement, and they changed that to a flood, different category, and people weren't gonna buy it, and then I got a hold of Don, he went up and did and found out it wasn't, in that category.
Again, an elevation certificate can be done by any surveyor. It's generally about $600 to $1,000, depending on how far they have to carry elevations.
Yeah.
But case in point, just that little expense sometimes is worth it to find out that, yeah, lo and behold, I'm not in the floodplain. Send it off to FEMA and the insurance company, and they'll reduce the rate dramatically.
Yeah.
Right.
I forgot to mention, there's been a lot of effort in Parish Field, thanks to Eric and the Highway Department who delivered mulch. Carol Urban, the park managers, worked very hard to get it all spread out around the playground equipment. We're replacing the swing, and we sort of propped up the slide that's bending a little bit or leaning. And I just wanted to thank Eric for doing that.
It's like rock in the back.
And also, what about the shark program? Is that still going?
Yeah, Shark Committee. So interestingly enough, I met with Rich Lovelace and Jane Todd. And Jane is willing to stay on and assist in getting the program, making sure that the grant applications get processed. We're trying to figure out maybe a couple of days where she could be in the office to assist people when they need it. But Sharp is not going anywhere. That was what our meeting was about. It's not closing its doors. They still have the revolving loan fund. Town still operates a revolving loan fund through them. But they want to reinitiate their presence back on Main Street. And they're going to make the best effort to do it. And I want to thank Rich and Jane for trying to work this out. So.
I seen the surveying down by my house down there for the houses, I think, that are in the buyout. Do you know, Rob, when that's gonna, when those houses are gonna go, or how that works?
So
if you can explain so people down there know.
Yeah, again, I'm hearing from county that it's waylaid another year. Now, I'm not sure if it has anything to do with any transitions that occurred in Ulster County, because Ulster County is the one managing this buyout program through the state and federal. But from what I understood, they're going down to starting surveys. They had come to us and asked us if we were interested in any properties. And the town said we are not interested in any properties. But I did have a discussion actually on Friday with Bill Rudge and previously with other DEC employees about the possibility of DEC taking over one of the parcels on Route 28, just east of the Mount Tremper Bridge, just past the Pine Cottages there. And that parcel goes out to the stream, and just asked if DEC would be interested in making a handicap accessible fishing access joint or whatever, point, whatever. And they said they'd look into it and see if they're interested. It's a very good possibility. Again, try to get something that helps centralize Mount Tremper and give some identity, some kind of recreational point that gives them.
So basically, because I see three houses are gone. Now, was that the owners?
That was the owners took them down through what's called ICC program, or increased cost of compliance. You get, I think the max is $30,000 to assist you in demolishing or doing whatever you need to do for the homestead. What's good about that is it doesn't go through the buyout. The homeowners get reimbursed for whatever cost for the demolition, and they still retain it as a taxable parcel. Now, it's a taxable parcel. Somebody in some future day could build a building there. I mean, this is technically through FEMA's regs. Again, this is why we go to these conferences. You could build a building there. I don't know what the elevation would be, but it'll probably be astronomical, which would sound ridiculous to us. But it is not unheard of and not unshown where they're showing us pictures of homes like 10, 12 feet in the air, down Louisiana, down in Staten Island, Long Island, all that stuff. So it is possible to elevate, to find these ways to work within the regulations and still find yourself more resilient with flooding. But it's a couple of hoops you gotta jump through. But it's nice that the parcel remains taxable and still buildable, whereas with the buyout, once it's bought out, it's gonna be publicly held land, most likely by the county or the DEP, and they're gonna pay taxes as if it's open forest land, and it's, because of FEMA regs, it will never revert to private property ever again.
So is there a timetable, like when all these houses are gonna be taken down in Shandaken, or is it just up to whatever?
Their
happens?
program, when they release the funds and say go, people aren't allowed to touch the structures or do anything on their property until they get their money.
Okay.
Until they get approved.
Thanks.
Speaking of DEC, when you were talking, did you touch base on that discussion we had last month on the, not contract, but that right away to go up to the
I
Smith
thought that was
Reservoir?
explained in the letter that we got with the pictures, wasn't it?
Yeah.
About the DEC saying that this is a permitted use and allowed through here on the right.
It's a right away.
It's been
Right,
permitted
but
for
do
use
we have
since
something in writing from
1917.
them?
That was the letter from the DEC, wasn't it?
Yes,
Did I not?
Yeah, we all got it.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, that was in
it
the,
should have been in your box.
yeah, that was in, I saw it in the box, but I'm just looking for a lawful thing that says that we got that right away. I mean, we're not all gonna be here for, it might be in a letter, but I mean, it's, you know, for a legal thing, it'd be nice something to have.
Can we get a copy of the
DEC.
deed?
You got it?
Can we make a photocopy of the deed?
I think that was in the packet, wasn't it?
I don't know.
No,
I remember reading the letter saying that it authorized and
Yeah.
approved to go through
There's
and
a,
recognized right away.
I'll have to look for the deed, but it's in the deed. In 1917, I believe it was, that's been in there. And in the letter, it says that they've looked at it and, here, I can see.
It says this letter serves as an amendment to show that it remains valid. So it's serving as the,
Is that allowed to go up there in the country?
Yes.
In the first paragraph, it mentions that it's a deeded easement to the village of Phoenicia for drinking water. The last sentence in the first paragraph. Of the letter.
The easement would be in the lot that was, the easement would be in the state lands lot description, not
Yeah.
the water.
Department of DEC issued a temporary revocable permit, a TRP, on August 8th to the Phoenician Water Department to allow PWD, Phoenician Water, to enter state-owned forest reserve lands classified as Phoenician Mountains Bias Wild Forest for purpose of maintenance of the springs and water lines which supply the village with drinking water through a deeded easement, specifically the TRP description of use called, that goes into detail. Debris removal, cleaning of springs shown on the attached map. And I think that had to do with a logistical problem with a rock or something. It was one big
Right.
rock that couldn't be moved.
Well,
So it was, can we come over, scooch over this way and go around
Kenny
and
was issued
get
two
back to the
tickets.
deed?
Kenny was issued 2 tickets from the girls, the DEC. And these fellas came up, one's her boss, talked to Kenny about it and said, don't worry about it, when you go to the court, we're gonna have this exonerated, you know. It was a mistake, she didn't know. So, it's all, I'll try to find the deed, I had it, put it somewhere, but there's a deed on 1917, we've had a right-of-way through there to work on it. The reason why we didn't work on this for many years is because the Board of Health restricted us because we didn't have filtration. Now we have filtration, so now we can use those springs up there. That's why. And so they're important to keep up. Any more questions?
Any other public?
Any more?
Yes, sir.
I have like to comment on something I heard a little while ago. First of all, my name is Ken Anello, and I'm kind of new to the area. I've been up here part-time for about a year, almost a year and a half. I'm the new owner of the Slide Mountain Motel, which used to be the Apple Street down the road. And something that came up a little while ago, which caught my ear, the envisioning committee of Pine Hill, and I agree that that needs to be addressed. Beautification improvements to the town, to the hamlet of Pine Hill. And I'm just curious as to how you have 16 names on that committee that's being formed. How were those people chosen?
They either contacted me or I contacted them directly. They're business owners, property owners on Main Street, or they're involved with the Phoenicia or the Pine Hill Library, or the Pine Hill Museum, or the Community Center, or the Fire Department.
Okay, so now do these people that are going to be on the committee, do they know at this time who the other committee members are?
Maybe not, may have. Most of them are on the email chain did.
Because what I see is, and I want to relate to my experience. I'm from Long Island, and I've dealt with committees and I've dealt with leadership and trying to put things together where you have people that have to work together. I'm involved with the Phoenicia Business Association up here. We're working on a project together. It's a large group of people that you have there. You have 16 people on that committee, and when you have a group that large, it's very difficult to get things done where everybody agrees on the same thing. But the other thing that really caught my attention was that two of you up there voted no on the approval of this committee based on one individual that is on that committee. And I know for a fact that I'm sure that there are other people that are going to be on that committee that may not work well with that individual. So I just want to put my 2 cents in, because you need to have a committee that's going to function as a team and work well together. And I see that if perhaps that individual is on that committee, other people on the committee may not be as active and want to be as involved because they may not want to deal with that individual. So in that case, I think you should reassess whether you want that person to be on the committee, because you want it to function at 100%. And possibly you may want to do something where you gather everybody in the committee together and say, listen, this is our committee. We have 16 candidates for the committee. We can only have 12, and have each individual vote for 12 people.
Yeah, so
And
let
then
me clarify, because you're making this bigger than it really is.
Yeah.
It's a planning committee. It is not.
Right, and they have to work together, correct?
They do have to work together. They have to communicate and know that regardless of personal differences, that everybody in Main Street, and especially people that own large commercial structures, are invited to participate in this committee. If they choose to because they have personal difference against somebody, really it's about the betterment of the town and the municipality as a whole. Yes, 16 people is a large committee, it is. But we need that many people involved. We did try to go about this one time before. We had a number of individuals who were not from residents or business owners or property owners within that district that were trying to direct us into how it was going to develop without any input from these people. So all it does is give them a voice to have some input, direction in it. The town ultimately is running this committee. The town ultimately, and again, there's certain things that we already have laid out as far as infrastructure that need to be addressed and need to be done. Now, people are always going to have differences against other people. I've been on committees where all of a sudden, because they're on the committee together, they have a disagreement and the people never talk again for generations. It's just the way of the world. You try to do your best to get everybody to get along, and if one individual is holding up the works, then you have a sit down and you talk to that individual. But as for the most part, all this is a bunch of people getting together in a room, looking at a bunch of maps. What would you like on your property? What do you not want on your property? And that's basically it, and have everybody have their individual input.
I understand what you're saying, and I just wanted to give my input as to what I might see could happen.
Thank you for
and I wish
buying
them luck, and I hope that they all work together, but it may or may not work. Who knows?
Thank you for buying this slide. I appreciate that. That's my stopping ground.
Okay.
And my father, the gentleman, I don't know if you can see him in the bright pink shirt back there.